Hello to Jackie Putnam. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you. Let me chat to you today. So, can you tell me roughly how long have you been a singer songwriter for?
Ever since I was a little girl, in grade six, I'd be about 12. I began writing poems because we had to write a poem every week, and I made 100s on all of my poems. And my grandmother always had kitchen parties. Philip and Lawrence would get out their guitars and play guitar. And so I remember being at Grammy's and I'd grab one of the guitars and I'd be up in my room and I would just be strumming it, not knowing how to play it. But I began writing my own songs. And at the age of 14, I was figuring out the chords and putting songs together and writing. And but ever since I was a little girl, like even younger than that, I remember being about three, singing along to Patsy Cline in the backseat of my parents' car, and I love Patsy Cline. She's one of my idols. And just any kind of music show growing up, I was always singing. And but yeah, the writing developed around the age of 12.
So, Clinton, what was it like going into the recording studio to record your debut single? What was that like?
To record the debut single,
Yeah.
that it was amazing. Like it's scary too, going into the studio for the very first time and not knowing anything about recording. I remember I started off with Down by the Greenwood Side because that's a song that my grandmother sang to me when I was a little girl, and I never ever forgot it. And that was sort of a test for me in recording. And then once I did that and kind of figured it out, then I had the rest of the songs. But it was delayed because I was supposed to have the album in 2020. And of course, the pandemic shut all that down for 2 years. And then when my shows started coming back, I went right back in the studio and it's like, I got to get this done.
So, can you tell me more about the single that released called A Church with No People?
The Church with No People was written during COVID. It was April 2020, during the time when we were not allowed to have church services, weddings, funerals. And I wrote it that a small child opens the door and brings us all together again. And while I was writing this song, I was thinking this pandemic would only last like 1 or 2 weeks, but it didn't. It just went on forever. And 2 years is a long time, to have your music that you're so passionate about be taken away, and like you don't have an income, and yeah. But a church with no people. I drove all the way to Tennessee. I had left my job in 2023. I went on the road. I wanted to enter into a competition at the North American Country Music Association. This was in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and it took me 3 days to drive there. I packed a lunch just like Loretta Lynn would do when she and Doolittle went on the road, and she went from radio station to radio station. And my lunch was, I said, I'm heading on the road to Tennessee. I got bologna sandwiches packed just like my idol, Loretta Lynn. I had oranges and apples and nuts and jugs of water, and I would make sandwiches. So I left Nova Scotia here in Canada, and I got to the United States border later that day, and they hauled my car over and they took all of my oranges and my bologna sandwiches. You're not allowed to bring in oranges to the United States, even though the oranges were labeled California. They said no, no oranges. So they threw all my oranges that I had just bought, and I was devastated because like I had left my job and it's just like you just took my food, my bologna sandwiches. It's like what's going on here? I did not know you weren't allowed to bring these kind of foods into the United States. So yeah, it took me 3 days to drive down to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. I got up on the stage, I sang "A Church with No People." I brought home Songwriter of the Year and Entertainer of the Year, and that was my first sign that it's like, okay, Tennessee likes my music, I think I've got something here. Because my album was going to be released in June. It was released on June 12th, and I had went down to Tennessee in April, and so that was my first sign I was on the right track. And I released A Church with No People as a double A side with another song called Hurt. I thought, if I'm going into the music business, I'm going to release two songs at once, be a little unique and different. I did my research and found out there's 20,000 um, songs released like every week. And it's like, how does one even stand out among 20,000 songs every week? How do you be unique and different? Well, you just do what you can do, and just, yeah, I thought, well, it's something that no brand new artist has done. I don't have a label, so it's like, why not? What have I got to lose? I know one song did well in the United States, and released them both at once. One was a little bit of country, the other one's a little bit of rock and roll, and that's what I'm all about. It's sort of the two blending together. I always comment, I'm a little bit of country and a little bit of rock and roll, just like Donnie and Marie combined into one.
So, can you tell me more about the single release called No One Will Ever Know?
No one will ever know. I recorded that during the pandemic. I wrote a lot of songs during COVID. That song there, it's about not being able to be with your loved ones and hold them. I was missing my family. My kids are grown up now, and I'm here alone. And tears were coming out of my eyes, staring out my kitchen window, and it's just like, I was crying all the time through this pandemic of the loneliness, and no one will ever know. It's like how I was feeling, and the days were very long during that time, very long and lonely, and so no one will never know. It charted #2 in the Canadian indie country countdown. I'm very pleased with that. And I filmed that video at Wentworth Park, and that's only about 15 minutes away from my home. So I do all my videos myself. I do have a little bit of help from a friend of mine who puts the videos together, because it's not cheap to create a music video if you're digging into the market, which I did. The cheapest that I could find at that time was $2,000 to do a video. It's like, there's got to be another way. So the videos are all homemade. I have 6 music videos right now on my YouTube. Actually, 8 because I had another single that I released before my album was released, and that single was supposed to be on my album, but it was COVID, and when the pandemic went on, and it's just like, well, what if I never have a song released ever? So I tossed it out there, and yeah, like it's just like COVID held a lot of people, a lot of musicians, a lot of businesses back. Um, and yeah, it was a time of struggling. And I find when I'm struggling like that with depression and everything that came with the pandemic, I become more creative in writing. And it's almost therapeutic for me, because when I write the song, then I start feeling better, a little bit better about me. And I come back and bounce back to where I should be. But the songs, like usually I'm going through sometimes a dark period in my life, and that's how I write.
So, what was it like to produce your debut album called The Phoenix?
That was an amazing project there. At first, I was only going to do an EP, just 3 or 4 songs. I was out on the ocean performing on Marine Atlantics. It was called Atlantic Vision. It's a ship that sails from Nova Scotia to Newfoundland, and it's a 16-hour sail out in the ocean. And I was on there for 1 week, and this is just when things are starting to come back to normal. In 2022, I'm on the ship, and they loved me and they wanted me to stay on there, and I couldn't at the time. I had other shows to do. And I'm in the studio, and Scott is saying, Jackie, why don't you do an album? You could get nominated for awards if you do an album. And I'm looking at Scott, and it's just like, I don't know how if I can afford an album. It's just so expensive. And Marine Atlantic hired me again and brought me back out to sea. And it's like, I think I can do this. I can do the album. And so I went forward with it. And the musicians, I'm very proud that John Campbell, John, Kim Dunn, Bruce Dixon, Scott Ferguson are all on my album. And I had some special guests like Ray Legier and Matt Balser, who joined me as a duet on my album. Putting it all together, I listened to my album a good solid month before even saying, like, let's do the final mix, because I tweaked it, and there was changes that I felt needed to be made. One of them was bringing Matt in as a duet. And so like, well, I want to hear what this song will sound like, because I knew his voice and my voice blended well together in the song called Jackson. And Jackson is from his album. And, it was quite exciting, especially like also the Phoenix was remixed this past summer, that one song, because I knew it was a bigger song and it needed a bigger production. So I bring in a 4-piece horn section, and they're called the Melatones, and created more magic by making the song a bigger song. And that will be released later this year. It's more like a pop song. But yeah, no, I love working in the studio. And when I was in the studio, like we spent a whole day, we worked on 4 songs. Like I would make lunches for the guys. I brought in chicken dumplings. I had that in the slow cooker in the studio. We had sandwiches, and I brought some cookies and some drinks for us. And that was to save time. So like we could work in the studio all day instead of like, oh, it's lunchtime. Like and the studio is in the city, which is about an hour away from me. And to get around the city, it takes a while, like to get to here and there. So I thought, we'll save time. Nobody has to go drive and look for lunch. Lunch was there, and yeah, I just remember smell like chicken dumplings in the studio.
So what was like covering Bonnie Tyler's classic song? It's Heartache.
I love It's a Heartache. I love Bonnie Tyler. And this song is on the album because Philip and Lawrence used to sing this to me when I was a little girl. And the song means a lot to me because the Grammy always had these kitchen parties. And to bring this song back to life in the studio, and I'm listening to John Campbell John's guitar riffs and what he's doing, and like even the keyboard, it just sounds amazing to bring it all together. It's a little bit different than Bonnie Tyler's, but it's still somewhat similar. But yeah, that was a lot of fun to work on, and I'm glad I put a cover song on my album. I wanted people to recognize the song, which a lot do. Like everywhere I perform, I sing this song. And I thought, well, if I can have a connection like that with my songwriting and just create the album, I think it's a smart thing to do, like to cover a cover song on your album.
So you're up for the ICS Awards again this year. So can you tell me more about that?
Yes, I'm Leaving You Now. It's up for Video of the Year, Songwriter of the Year. I entered into these awards last year with my album, The Phoenix. I put that in the ISSA awards, and I was delightfully surprised that I brought home female album of the year from the ISSA Awards. And so I'm Leaving You Now. That was just released in January this year. And I'm delighted to be nominated, just to have that kind of recognition. And these awards show, it's in Atlanta, Georgia. And I can remember the day that I received the award. And like, it's a nice, beautiful crystal giant award. And it was like, wow, I, I did, I did something with this. And um, these nominations, I'm glad to be still recognized for what I am doing today in releasing my music. There's a lot of hard work behind it, just trying to kick open the doors. And you gotta like keep pushing open the doors, because uh, the doors aren't going to open unless you try pushing them open.
So, Keith, what was it like being an independent artist?
Being an independent artist, there's a lot of hats that you wear. I am my own booking agent. I look after all my accounting. I set up the gear. I tear it down. I like, there's so many things. Um, you promote yourself. You do your own videos. You write your music. Um, there's so much. It can be very overwhelming at times, but I love this so much. Like, this is what I was born to do, and I know without a doubt. And I believe if you believe in yourself, and I believe in me, and I believe I can do this, when you have that strong belief and you just say, I can, and just do it, it will pleasantly surprise you in many ways. And It's just like, yeah, you just keep trying always. Even if the door doesn't open for you, there's always another door that will open.
So, have we got any up and coming gigs coming soon?
I do. I'm going to be performing in New Glasgow, which is about a half hour away from my home. It's a shoebox music showcase. And then I'm performing as Jackie Putnam and the Hawks. It's in Springside, in Nova Scotia, Springside Community Center, which is in Upper Stewiacke. So I'm delighted. Sometimes I'll perform as a band. The majority of my shows are one woman. I make decent money performing as a solo artist. I am back out on the ships. There's 3 ships, actually 4 ships I perform on here in Atlantic Canada. One sails from North Sydney to Newfoundland, Argentia, Newfoundland. That ship, I'm on there for sometimes a week, sometimes it's 2 weeks at a time. And I sing every night, usually 5 hours, just a solo act. It's a lot of work to save my voice. I began doing outfit changes every hour so I could perform that length of time every night. And I also perform on another ship. It's called the Cat. It sails from Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, right into Maine in United States. It sails into Bar Harbor, Maine. And I meet a lot of Americans on that ship. And I also perform on, it's called the Fundy Rose. It sails from Digby, Nova Scotia to St. John, New Brunswick. And I perform on the Confederation, which sails from Nova Scotia to Prince Edward Island. And this is a different way of promoting my music on water. I perform on land too. I have shows coming up at the Oak Island Resort. And there's a story about Oak Island. Like, they've been digging for this treasure for many years, ever since I was a kid. They haven't found any treasure yet, but I'm delighted to be performing at that resort. Lowland Gardens, I used to work there. I love gardening, and they're bringing me in to perform this spring and also this fall. So I'll be doing the Herb Fest in the garden center and also their Mum Fest. And they have beautiful potted mums. I love lowland gardens. Like I said, I enjoyed working there. They're so good to me. I also have another show coming up this fall at the Sanctuary Arts Center and the Amherst Art Center. And there's a booking. It's tentative right now, just waiting for the paperwork to come in up in New Brunswick. So yeah, I've been doing like PEI, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and out on the water. I've performed up in Ontario. Biota TV had flown me to Ontario to do a documentary the year that I had left my job, because they're like, who is this girl in the Atlantic provinces? She left her job and went on the road to promote her song. So they found it an interesting story that they did a documentary. And but yeah, I went up and performed at the Purple Hill Country Opry up in Ontario. And no, it's been quite a music journey to do all of this in such a short time.
So, finally, can you tell my listeners, where can they find you on your social media?
JackiePutnam.com. All my links are there. You can find me on YouTube.com, Jackie Putnam. I'm building my YouTube, so I'm asking folks, please subscribe, help me reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers. And I'm on Instagram, Spotify, Apple, Threads, TikTok. There's so many platforms. And again, like what's it like being an independent artist? Well, you got to update, try to keep updating all these platforms. And it's just like, wow, that can be overwhelming itself. One platform I find that is stronger is my Facebook, Jackie Putnam Official. That's more stronger because that was the first platform that I began with. And I do need to build these other platforms and get them up to where they should be.
I'm thinking to chat to you today.
Thank you. I really enjoyed chatting with you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Enjoy your day too. You take really good care.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.